You got some more words.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
So happy to see you. So we're going to sing our joy song. It's a brand new one, yay! It's right up here on the wall. If you'd join me, please. Stand where you're able, please. Great job on the new song.
Good morning to everyone here in the sanctuary and those watching us on Facebook. If you'd like to know more about our church, go to our website, vccds.com. Please silence your cell phones if you have them with you, or put them on mute. Do we have anyone visiting with us for the first time? No, just dear, dear friends. Our guest musicians are Randy Walker and Marion McConnell. Welcome. Bringing us today's message is Dr. Maurita, and I will be reading the at-one-ment. Solitude. If you are comfortable in your own skin and really love your own person, you will not be afraid to spend time alone. You will enjoy the time you spend alone as much as you do when you are surrounded by people you dearly love. You cannot be lonely if you like the person you're alone with. This is a quote by Wayne Dyer. Be still. Take in a breath. Stop all those thoughts running through your head, observing the beating of one's own heart. Love yourself as you would your own best friend. That's the key, isn't it? Have you ever been out in the middle of nature? The silence as thick as morning dew on a crisp fall day. You look up and see a deer. It spots you but does not run away. It continues to stare you down. You wish you had someone to share this moment with. This moment is what I call a God moment. Only if you did, words would have been spoken, and this moment would be lost forever. Or have you been in a lake in the early morning before the silence has been broken by other people and their boats, just observing the stillness of the water and the trees encircling you? The only sound may be a bird or two. It is as though you are the only person who exists in this world. I would call this another God moment. I have never been a runner, but I imagine when they are in their zone, just pounding the pavement, they too have a connection to themselves and their source. You cannot be very lonely if you are the only person you are with. An artist must be comfortable and love spending time alone. Their mind focused on the colors they will use and their brush strokes as well, their creativity flowing. Isn't God with them as they create each masterpiece? One must feel comfortable with themselves. You must genuinely like the person you are, genuinely like who you are as a person. The past may be filled with hurt or pain, but leave it in the past. Today is a new beginning, and you must learn to be your own best friend. Remember, you will never be lonely as long as you like the person you are alone with, even if it is with yourself. And our opening hymn is number 89, Let's Be. We're going to sing it all the way through. That is number 89.
This morning, I wanted to talk about compassion. Compassion is different from sympathy. Sympathy can be on the surface, but compassion is something that runs much, much deeper. And Jesus certainly was a person who demonstrated compassion. In Matthew 14:14, Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude and was moved with compassion toward them, and he healed their sick. If you're an intuitive person, and he was, he could feel what was happening to these people. There was no medical care back then. It was just home remedies and things like that. He could feel the desperation, the pain, and he healed because he had compassion for them. He looked past the surface and saw the pain in their lives. And it could have been much more than just a physical pain. It could have been emotional pain. They lived in difficult, very difficult times. Matthew 20 says, "So Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes, and immediately their eyes received sight." And certainly he helped the blind. He healed the blind. But then he healed the blindness of the people of that time as well. He taught them love. Not just tithing mint and the outside things that were required of them through their religious belief. No, he taught them to open their eyes and see the good and to love in a way they had not been taught before. Mark 1:41, excuse me, and Jesus, moved with compassion, touched him, the leper, and said, "I will, be thou clean." Leprosy was a scourge, a horrible scourge in the first century in the Middle East. And there were people who sat near the gate of the city and begged, lepers. They weren't allowed to be near anybody else. They were fearful of catching what they had. Compassion for that life of such difficulty, of being alone, of being shunned, being outsider, of being ugly. Compassion. Tell them, thy friends, how great things the Lord hath done for thee, and hath had compassion on thee. So we want compassion. We don't want just sympathy. We want to look past the surface and see within the inner layers of that person, and know right there is a child of God. And I see through the difficulty, and I know the difficulty can be healed because the child of God can bring it forth within them. And love them for that. That is true compassion. And that's something we need to carry in our minds and hearts, day by day. Shall we say our divine science statement of being? You'll have it in your orders of service. God is all, both invisible and visible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am the individualized expression of God, and am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance.
A long time ago, when the earth was still green, there were more kind of animals than you've ever seen. They run around free while the earth was being born, but the loveliest of all was the unicorn. There was green alligators and long-necked geese, some humpty-back camels and some chimpanzees, some cats and rats and elephants, but sure as you're born, the loveliest of all was the unicorn. Now God seen some sinning, and it gave him some pain, and he said,
Stand back, I'm going to make it rain.
he said,
Hey brother Noah, I'll tell you what to do. Build me a floating zoo.
Take some
Green alligators and long-necked geese, some humpty-backed camels and some chimpanzees, some cats and rats and elephants, but sure as you're born, don't you forget my unicorn.
Oh, Noah was there to answer the call. He finished up the ark just as the rain was falling. He marched in the animals 2 by 2, and he called out as they went through.
Hey Lord, I got your green alligators and long-necked geese, some humpty-backed camels and some chimpanzees, some cats and rats and elephants, but Lord, I'm so forlorn, I just can't see no unicorn.
Then Noah looked out through the driving rain. Them unicorns was hiding, playing silly games, kicking and splashing while the rain was pouring. Oh, them silly unicorns. There was
Green alligators and long-necked geese, some humpty-backed camels and some chimpanzees. Noah cried, close the doors, 'cause the rain is pouring, and we just can't wait for no unicorns.
The ark started moving. It drifted with the tide. The unicorns looked up from the rocks and they cried. And the waters came down and sort of floated them away. And that's why you'll never see a unicorn to this very day. But you'll see
Green alligators and long-necked geese, some humpty-backed camels and some chimpanzees, some cats and rats and elephants, but sure as you're born, you're never gonna see no unicorn.
This is the time in our service when we just take a deep breath and relax. And we had to rush to get here this morning. And certainly life is includes quite a bit of pressure and hurry, and let's not miss this. And yet it is in the times of peace and rest, quietude, that we heal. We heal when we're sleeping, and we heal our minds and our emotions when we meditate, when we grow still. We heal the things that bother us, and we can simply get quiet. Get quiet and remember who we are, where we are, and what life is all about. Who we are is what we say in our divine science statement of being every Sunday morning. Individualized expressions of God, which means one with God, always, forever. One with all power. One with the light of life, the life force. One with total understanding and peace, and most of all, love. That is what we are connected with, body, mind, and soul, whether we know it or not. And this infinite resource, this being that is our being, can be relied on. That's what we are. And what are we about? Why do we walk the earth? What's all this frustration and fun and grief and joy and irritation, sometimes anger, and gratitude? We are experiencing so much of all of that. What is it all about? We are learning. We're in first grade and second grade and third grade, if you wish. We are learning the lessons of spirit, corroborating what our soul knows, acting in ways that are in harmony with our truest self, the image of God in us. Oh, just to know that, just to go over it, just to remind ourselves begins to put so much into perspective. We see differently. We see other people as they act out against us, it would seem, but they act out of their own pain, their own confusion, their fears, their anxieties. When we know that, we feel differently about their problems and the way they behave. How wonderful to know who we are and why we're here. That puts everything into perspective. That helps us heal rather than stay awake and play the old broken record. Oh, why did they say that? And they said this, and he did that. Instead, we sleep and heal. Instead, we know the truth and live life without anxiety, without the weight of what if. This day, knowing the truth of ourselves and everyone else, we hold in mind the people we love, the people who we should love more than we do because they're close to us, but maybe there are issues with them. We hold them in mind, knowing that that is God's child, my sister, my brother, my very self, because we are connected. We are one with them, for there is only one, and that one is infinite good and infinite compassion and infinite love. And we hold those people we know who are experiencing difficulty beyond the immediate circle of our families. We hold them in the light. And especially we hold in the light today Kendrick, who was injured yesterday and was in the hospital, is in the hospital. We hold him and his his dear mother, Amy Jo, in the light of knowing that this is a temporary, a momentary glitch, and all will very soon be well, will be in divine order. We send them love and light and assurance and gratitude, because out of every glitch comes greater light. We hold in mind the people in our neighborhoods, in our city or county, in our state, who need prayers right now, in our country, especially in its leadership. These are trying times. And that light of understanding and love and peace circle the globe and touch every heart, every mind, and every country. God's will be done, and His will is abounding good for each and all. And for this and so much more, we give thanks right now during 90 seconds of silence. Come unto me, all ye who labor and are heavy laden. Come unto me, all ye who are lightly burdened, for whom life holds so much good that we can see and feel gratitude for. Come unto me, all my children, and I will give you rest. And we rest in Him with gratitude, with a sense of uplift and positive expectation, and we know our expectation is fulfilled. For so it is. Amen. And now shall we say the Aramaic prayer from the Nura Foundation? It's right on the wall behind me. Our Father, who is everywhere, your name is sacred, your kingdom is come, your will is throughout the earth, even as it is throughout the universe. You give us our needful bread day by day, and you forgive us our offenses, even as we forgive our offenders. And you let us not enter into materialism, but you separate us from error. Because yours are the kingdom, the power, and the song, and the praise from all ages, throughout all ages, sealed in faith, trust, and truth. Amen. Well, this morning, I'm going to be talking about never say no to a yes. I don't know about you, but I love the comic Pickles. It's in the newspaper every day, and there are times it just breaks me up. If any of you know that, you know what I'm talking about. A few weeks back, now Pickles is it focuses on an older couple, man by the name of Earl and his wife Opal, and they say funny things to each other. They really do. So a couple of weeks back, there was this segment, this strip, I should say, and the first picture was of Earl sitting on the couch and Opal saying to him, "I'm taking the dogs to get bathed today." And Earl turns and he's objecting. He says, "Well, why can't we bathe in here in the house?" And Opal answers, "We could, but he also needs his anal glands cleaned." And the last segment has Earl saying, "Be sure to give them a big tip." There are some things that people maybe just don't want to do. No. For instance, farmers are desperate for people to help pick crops when they come to fruit, you know. And Americans are simply not interested in these hot, back-breaking jobs. So immigrant workers who really want these jobs are indispensable in getting the crops to market, or else they rot in the fields. My husband, Eddie, never, ever mowed a lawn. Never. He always said he would much rather work at something that he liked and pay somebody else to do something he didn't like. He didn't have any interest in mowing the lawn. So saying no to someone, or to some things, I should say, is both practical and it's wise. But then saying no to certain other things is neither practical nor wise. You know, one of the most famous no's in the Bible came from a man who's very familiar with everybody. Moses. Everybody knows that legend of his background. The Hebrew people were slaves in Egypt. And they were valuable slaves because they did the grunt work, making bricks and doing stuff that nobody else wanted to do. And so that they were valuable to the Egyptians. But the Pharaoh really got worried because there were so many of them. I mean, they were propagating like crazy. So he ordered them to kill all their infant sons after they were born. Oh my word, what a horrible thing to have to do. Well, Moses' mother just could not do it. And she kept the baby as long as she could, and then it got to the point she could not keep the child. So she put it in a box and put the box in some reeds near the riverbank. Excuse me. Now, Pharaoh's daughter came down every day to bathe. She and her handmaidens, right there. And they found this beautiful baby boy in a box. And she was enchanted with this beautiful child, and she adopted him, took him home. He came to know that he was a Hebrew, but he was raised right there in the royal household, with all the advantages of a royal household. But after he became an adult, he got very angry seeing an Egyptian overseer who was actually beating a Hebrew slave. And he killed the man. Well, the Pharaoh heard about it and said he was going to come after him and kill him for doing that. And Moses took him at his word, and he fled to Midian, which was a neighboring country. Now the Midianites were descendants of Abraham, so they were Hebrew too. He took refuge in the home of a man by the name of Reuel, who was a priest of Midian. And then later on, Reuel gave him his oldest daughter in marriage. And he also became the shepherd of Reuel's flocks, which were probably very sizable. But this is where the legend gets really interesting. Moses was caring for the flocks. They were in the desert one day, and he noticed something strange. A bush was on fire, but it didn't burn up. Moses thought, I wonder what that is. And so he came closer, and he wanted to see up close what this peculiar sight was. And then, all of a sudden, he heard his name called. Moses, Moses. Now, we are told that 40% of the Bible was made up of descriptions of dreams and visions, as well as spiritual experiences. Because in those days, dreams and visions were taken very, very seriously, because it was thought that they were messages from God. And there are people who feel exactly that way today. But certainly the ancient Hebrews were certain of this. So, we don't know for sure if Moses experienced a very powerful dream or it was a vision. It seems sort of like a vision, really. But it resulted in a profound spiritual experience that contained certain great spiritual messages that indeed changed the direction of Moses' life and the destiny of the Hebrew people. Now, on hearing his name, Moses, Moses answered, "Here am I." He didn't know what was going to be happening, but he knew his name was being called. And then Moses heard, "Do not draw near. Take your shoes from off your feet, for the place whereupon you stand is holy ground." Well, divine science teaches that God is omnipresent. So actually, wherever you're standing, wherever you are, is holy ground. Because God and all God is right there where you are. Now, if we remember this truth, if we keep holding that attitude in mind, we can bring more grace and peace and creativity into any situation. We can really transform that energy that people exude when they're either happily interacting or interacting not so happily. We can transform that energy into positive energy and bring forth positive outcomes as we interact with people. Whereon we stand is holy ground, all of us. And the voice also said, "Take your shoes off." Well, shoes obviously constitute a barrier between us and the dirt, or maybe some danger. We might step on something that could really hurt us. But there are lots of times when we erect mental barriers, kind of shoes on our thoughts, so that when we are thinking, we are standing behind these barriers, fortified by them somehow. We're not really acting like we're standing on holy ground. We do this. We erect these mental barriers, believing that, well, we have to act tough in this situation. We have to exert authority. It's important to do that. Or make a point. Listen, this is what is right. That's what I know is should be done. Rather than expressing openness. Openness to God's will, openness to harmony, openness to compromise, openness to a win-win for everybody. In other words, expressing the truth that this is holy ground. And right here, I seek to express love and compassion. Anyway, the voice, we believe, and Moses certainly believes, it continues. I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. God adds that he has heard, I should say, the cries of his people. He knows of their suffering at the hands of the Egyptians. And God says, I have come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that land to a good and large land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, of all the blessings of life. God is actually telling Moses in so many words that he is sending him, Moses, to the Pharaoh to release the children of Israel out of slavery. God is going to be with him. God is going to be his protector throughout this whole process. But Moses is saying, no way. He has all his no's in place. He's erecting a mental barrier to God's plan right away. He gets kind of frustrated and he says, well, the people are going to ask me, what is God's name? In other words, what is God's nature? Because back then, the name and the nature were similar. You were named the qualities that you exhibited. What is God's nature? What kind of a God is this? And God says to Moses, I am Ahia Ashar Hai. That is, the living God. And he said, thus you shall say to the children of Israel, Ahia has sent me to you. God tells Moses to gather the elders of Israel together and to say to them, the Lord God of your fathers has sent me to you. And Moses is getting more and more, no way. No, I can't do this. So he's saying that God, they're not going to believe me. They're going to say, God hasn't appeared to you. So God proceeds to give him ways to persuade these hard-headed Hebrews. He has a staff. And God makes it possible for him to turn the staff into a snake and then back into a staff when he wants to. His hand looks like it has leprosy, all white, and then it turns normal. And then God says, you take water out of the river, pour it on the land, and it will look like blood on the land. These are the ways that will persuade the people. Now this is powerful, magical stuff. But then Moses finally comes up with the final reason, the real reason that he is just not the right man for this job. He says, I am a stutterer and slow of speech. Oh my goodness. Can you imagine the years of frustration and shame and probably fear? He can't get out what he wants to say. He can't say it quickly. He can't say it fluently. The Lord says to him, who has made man's mouth? Is it not I, the Lord? Now therefore go, and I will be with your mouth and teach you what you shall speak. Moses is still not convinced. No. And the Lord is getting kind of irritated by this time. Then God says, quote, behold, Aaron, your brother, the Levite, I know he is a good speaker, and also, behold, he will come forth to meet you. He'll meet you when you go back to Egypt. He'll meet you, and when he sees you, he will be glad in his heart. And you shall speak to him and put my words into his mouth. And I will be with your mouth and with his mouth, and will teach you what you shall do. And he shall be your spokesman to the people. And he shall be an interpreter for you, and you shall be him. You shall be to him instead of God. And finally, Moses begins to say yes within himself. Yes to his destiny. Yes to the hopes and dreams of the Hebrew people that need fulfilling. The omnipresent spirit of love is always with every one of us, ready to turn our no's into yeses. Our inner dialogue of, should I do this? Can I do this? Will it be successful? Would I crash and burn? We turn that into, with God's help, I'm going to do this. I am doing it. A friend recently told me about an experience she had. She'd been given a great deal of thought to changing her place of employment. She'd been there well over 10 years, and she had been doing well, but was it possible that she might do even better someplace else? There was this huge question in her mind. Now, is this the right thing to do, to leave? Now, there was a fear of the unknown. That was natural. And it held her mentally and emotionally in an inner no. It just sounded unsafe somehow. And she was stressed about it, actually. She was unable to decide what to do, unable to take any action, certainly, until one day she went on a trip. And she sat down for a few minutes on a fold-out chair in a plain old room. She happened to be by herself. Wasn't thinking about anything particularly. When she heard the words, "Don't be afraid, trust me." And it was said 2 or 3 times. And it certainly did not come from her own mind. It was something else. There was a gentle, comforting sweetness about it. A sweetness in the voice, in the words. And the stress and the fear that she'd been feeling just ebbed away. She was filled with a sense of peace instead. Her no had turned into a yes. And right now she's in the process of making that change. She is quite certain that she heard the voice of God. It's said that Moses lived something like 3,400 years ago. But people before his time and countless people since then have heard words that did not come from them, words that carried a singular authority, words that left a certainty that they had heard truth, they had heard assurance, words that turned no's into yeses. In most cases, the words are very brief, very much to the point. In Moses' case, however, God carried on this lengthy dialogue with him. And apparently that was what happened with Jesus. Jesus was communicating with God all the time and hearing God answer. But any of us can turn to the divine with an important question in mind, and we don't make fancy prayers. That's unnecessary. Just speak from the heart. Just talk to God. And there will be times when you least expect it that you'll hear the question answered the advice that was needed given, the direction indicated. One Sunday, long ago really, I was sitting right over there. We'd heard and sung, I should say, the first hymn. I wasn't thinking about anything in particular, and I heard the words, "Do you adopt me?" It was so gentle, so kind. I almost started crying right there. And when I think about it, it still touches me. But I couldn't do anything right then. I was riveted, kind of shocked almost. But I had to put it aside because I had to come up here and do a sermon. Perhaps I had some no's in me that needed to become yeses. I needed to doubt less, trust more. But in those few moments, in those precious moments, it certainly focused me on trusting as I hadn't before. God is saying yes. He's saying yes to our no's far more times than we dream. The things that we might out and out just fear, the decisions we feel anxious about, or maybe doubt our ability to accomplish even, will be the place where we're most needed, where we will learn the most, where we will do the most good for the most people. But it does not just happen to special people, religious people, spiritual people. No, of course not. It happens to everybody. The friend that I talked about, not a particularly religious or spiritual person at all. She got an answer to a question, though. The question she needed to hear was answered. Just talk. Just talk to this infinite loving presence, and you might hear him speaking to you. The voice is unmistakable. Doesn't come from you. No. It is a voice that has the most magical and beautiful way of turning no's into yeses. Let's go with him. And give thanks that God does answer. Sometimes he answers through somebody else, or something you happen to hear, casual conversation at the next table when you're having lunch. But he does answer. And we need to have faith. We need to know that the answer is coming when we talk to him with our hearts. The answer is always there because we are always standing in sacred space. And for that, we give deepest thanks. Amen.
Is JoJo still back there?
Oh, yeah, good.
We're going to dedicate this song to JoJo.
in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands or pause or anything they got. Listen to the bass, it's the one on the bottom where the bullfrog croaks and the hippopotamus moans and groans with a big to-do, and the old cow just goes moo. All God's critters got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, or pause, or anything they got. The dogs and the cats, they take up the middle, while the honeybee honks and the cricket fiddles. The donkey brays and the pony neighs, and the old coyote howls. All God's critters got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, or pause, or anything they got.
Listen to the top where the little bird sings the melody, with the high notes ringing and the hoot owl cries over everything. The jaybird disagrees.
All God's critters got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, or pause, or anything they got. Singing in the nighttime, singing in the day. The little duck quacks, he's on his way. The possum ain't got much to say, and the porcupine talks to himself. All God's critters got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, or pause, or anything they got. It's a simple song heard everywhere, from the ox and the fox and the grizzly bear, the grumpy alligator and the hawk above, the sly raccoon and the turtle dove. All God's critters got a place in the choir. Some sing low, some sing higher, some sing out loud on the telephone wire. Some just clap their hands, or pause, or anything they got.
Now it's the time in our service for the blessing of the gifts. Please recite with me. Today, I acknowledge God, omnipresent, as the source of all good, as the source of my good. With this acknowledgement, I accept His will, which is abundance in every aspect of my life. I release all thoughts of lack and limitation, and I am open and receptive to the increased flow of abundance to me right now. I joyfully accept the gifts of life and give freely of the special gift that I am. Through me, God omnipresent blesses and multiplies this gift for all. Thank you, dear God.
Pass the prayer basket to yourself, as well as bless someone in a very unique way by saying a prayer for them throughout this week.
Good morning. Good morning. First off, the new orders of services out, so feel free to take them home and look at all the events that's going on. It's got pretty much everything. Not saying it's not subject to change, and if it changes, we will let you know. Now, the next important thing is birthday Sunday. We only have one birthday for October, who's Jimmy Weiss, and she's not here. And if you're not on the birthday list, please give us your birthday so we can celebrate that. So let's sing happy birthday, even though she's not. Martha was so kind as to provide the birthday cakes for this. She gave us 2 today, so please come next door and enjoy birthday cake. Thank you, Martha. And speaking of Martha, the flowers for today have been sponsored anonymously for you for all that you do, so thank you. I made the announcement on a one call and then a text message, but the SPCA is providing or having a fundraiser. It's called Spaghetti Night. Anyhow, it's a spaghetti dinner, and it costs $9. So we thought, well, most of us are animal lovers, and so we thought we would have a spaghetti dinner at the church. If you want to buy a ticket for the spaghetti dinner, if we get more than 10 tickets, which we already have, I think we have 14 people that have said they would get it, they will deliver to the church. So it's a spaghetti and a salad and bread and a drink. So anyhow, we just thought we'd make it an event. It's on a Tuesday night, October the 22nd, and Pam Wood said she would not have her journaling class on that night so that we could have that. So if you are interested in buying a ticket, I need to know at least by tomorrow, because I've got to order the tickets by Friday, so I don't want to wait till the last minute to order them. So if you are interested in that, it's $9. And if you don't want to stay here and eat with us, then you can pick it up at the church and take it home. That's in fact you want to do that. So anyhow, I just thought we thought it would be a good time for everybody to get together and have an event and just have the dinner delivered to us. Also, Sue Lee, as you know, she always does calendars, and she's got, I can't hold them all up here, but I'll have them for you to see. And so they're $15, and she has said that normally she sells them and gives half to the church, but if you buy these today, she will give all the money to the church to go towards our chairs that we're purchasing. So please feel free to look these up after church and purchase some if you like. They make great Christmas gifts. Okay, let's see what else I got here. A board meeting, instead of on Monday night, will be on Tuesday night next week at 4 o'clock. So we had to change it because of some conflict with schedules. Also, this Thursday night is craft night, 6:30. And we always have a good time. You think, well, I can't do crafts. Well, believe me, you can do a lot of things. And the last couple of times, we've actually colored. You've heard of adult coloring. It has been very relaxing and takes the stress. Anyhow, this week, I think we're going to start working on things for this year. We're going to do some flowers and things for the place where Pam Woods works, Spring Tree Nursing and Rehab Center. And I think they have like 70 residents that live there all the time. So we're going to do some things for them. So we're working on cards this week for.
Yeah, with poinsettias.
And so that's what we'll be working on this week. So we just always have a good time. We play music and talk, and just it's always a good time. So if you don't have anything else to do, come out on a Thursday night and when we have the crafts and enjoy yourself. And and help us make these things for Pam's workplace. Yesterday we had another, well, it's not a yard sale. We extended the store that Martha has started like a couple years ago. And so we thought for a couple of months, since we're trying to raise money to get new chairs, that we would extend it for a couple hours on a Saturday. And so we've done that for 2 Saturdays and a Thursday night. So we did it again yesterday. We raised over $200, about $230 to $40 yesterday, just for the 2.5 hours we were here. So since we did this, we've done it 2 Saturdays and a Thursday. So for those 3 times, we've raised about $600. So between that, and we've had 10 people that said they would purchase a chair. So we've, with the $3,000 that Nancy's father donated, And now we've raised 2,000 more, so we have $5,000 towards the chairs. So thank you all. Thank you. So, we're probably going to do the store, we'll keep it in here, but we're probably going to do it one more Saturday in November and then take the winter and everything off. So we'll see if we can come up with a few more dollars to go towards the purchase of the chairs. So thanks everybody for the things they donate and for all the help. And I thank Ann and Bob and everybody else, Melanie and everybody else that was here yesterday, and Doug that helped. It's always, we have fun. No matter what we do, we have fun. And it's a lot of work. And Martha gets a lot of stuff together. People always giving her stuff. A lot of stuff is new that we get. So don't think it's just yard sale stuff, because a lot of stuff that we get. So if you have a chance this morning, go over and look at the things, because we switched out some things, got some newer things a little bit than we had last week. So just check it out and see what you can get. You might find a bargain one. So, it's okay. So I also like to, do you have anything before I make these last couple of things?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to remind you that Rocco Errico is going to be speaking at the Metaphysical Church this coming Saturday from 1 to 3. He's doing a seminar. It is his Lord's Prayer that we are using right now. He's an expert in Aramaic and studied with George Lanza for 10 years. It's going to be a very good seminar. He's just an excellent speaker, and he keeps pulling things out that you've never thought about, and they can speak to you really very, very beautifully. I don't know if anybody here is interested. I'm certainly going to be there. Anybody else interested? Oh, thank you, Sue. Okay, thank you. Nobody else. You're missing something, I gotta tell you. And also, one more thing, and that is this Friday evening, we are going to have our 5th meeting of the Friends of Ions Roanoke group. That is people who are interested in near-death experiences. And we will talk about it. We'll have a DVD on it. And certainly last time was very interesting because someone who said, I've had that experience, but I can't talk about it. By the time, toward the end of the talk, the DVD, this person started talking, and it was like, came out like a fire hose. It was wonderful, talking about the things that had happened to her. So, if you're interested at all in this, it's this Friday evening, 7 o'clock, right over there.
Okay, so I always like to, we always hear all the bad news, and I like to pass on the good news when I can, and I can do it every week. I just don't pass it on every week, so there you go. Let me rephrase that, because there's always something good going on. So we just tend to, sometimes the world makes us think about all the stuff that's not so good, but there's always good stuff going on. So I wanted to talk about 3 things. First off, we started a walking group probably a little over a year ago, last year. And we've had regular people, Bob Brooks, Bob Beater, and Doug, and some of the rest of us have been there off and on because of other things we had to do. But I just want to say, Bob Brooks has been consistent. And when we were talking the other night, when he first started, he probably couldn't walk from here to there without giving out. He's now doing 2 miles a day. Wow. He's lost about 25 pounds. So, Bob, thank you. I mean, that's an inspiration right there. So when you say, we started this, I wanted people to get out, not only to get together, but to get some exercise. And so this has been just been a good thing. And the other Bob is taking up swimming along with walking, and so it's been a good thing. And so, like I said, Ann walks sometimes when she can. I know that there are health issues that keep from people, but feel free to join the walking group. It's at 8:30 on Saturday mornings. They may change that now that the weather's getting a little cooler and everything, but they meet at Black Dog Salvage every Saturday morning. So, and if it's raining or something, we always text and let you know. We usually go to the mall or something. We try not to do that unless we have to. But a lot of times then they'll switch it and move to Garth Mill Park. But it's just, I just want to recognize people when they do these things. And so Keep it up, Mom. So, but stay away from Dairy Queen. Also, Maurita was talking about somebody changing jobs. As most of you all know, our Wendy, who's not here today, has been, she has struggled for the last few months about changing jobs. And starting tomorrow, she is starting a new job and going back to school, hopefully after this semester, full-time. But she'll be starting a job at UPS starting tomorrow, so we wish her well. And yes, so that's the other thing is that we always try to, whatever people do, we try to support them. You know, try to give them words of encouragement or whatever. And so Wendy's been at coffee. I know she struggled over this, as Doug very well knows. She struggled over changing. I mean, it's tough to change a career late in life. But anyhow, we're very proud of her. So just send her some words of encouragement. I'm sure she would appreciate that. And lastly, probably this time next year, or maybe in November, there will be a wedding. Tina and Melanie, Tina and Maurita, Tina and Melanie are going to get married. So that's another. We're going to support them. And we're going to probably plan our wedding for them. I think I've talked enough, so y'all carry on.
Our closing hymn is number 96. Open my eyes that I may see. All 3 verses. That is number 96.
Oh, Nathan, so good.
What happened? Okay, here, I'm sorry. Here we are.
I got it.
Do you doubt me? Anyone can use that for precious words. For when we don't doubt, when we know that we are standing on sacred ground because we ourselves are sacred, the handiwork of God, then we say yes. The yes messages bubble up and make it possible to do all the things that we dream of today, this afternoon, tomorrow, and all our tomorrows. Don't doubt. Thank you, dear God. Amen.
Amen.